Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And this one is a true novelty, a completely unknown Handel Oratorio, or should I say, a completely unknown version of a Handel Oratorio. The Oratorio in question is The Triumph of Time and Truth, or Il Trionfo del Tempo e della Disingano, which was actually written around 1707 when he was in Rome. Now, we know that version, of course. It's gotten quite a bit of play lately, although it's not as popular as the Resurrection, La Resurrezione, because, of course, the Resurrezione is a Resurrezione. It's got, Jesus and Satan and stuff like that screaming around in it. And so people are naturally more interested. But the fact of the matter is they are both glorious works, and Handel rated them for a lot of his later music, throughout his career. But in 1757, at the very end of his life, he made an English language version of that oratorio with choruses and things happening in it, which has never gotten a lot of respect because Handel was very ill and he needed help to put it together, apparently. And so it's always had a sort of twilight existence as a quasi-Handel work, although the final chorus is one of the most beautiful things. The text, amazing. It's such a lovely work in its own way, but it's got a lot of the fun stuff chopped out. It was reduced in size and scope, so it wasn't like crazy. But what many people don't know or didn't know was that in 1737, it's all the sevens for some reason, about 30 years after the original, or 38, 39, somewhere in there, Handel made a new Italian version of the oratorio for performance in England, adding all kinds of stuff. It's in everything but the kitchen sink, full-length oratorio, over 3 hours long, or at least 3 hours long. I mean, it's a big sucker in 3 parts, and it's got a big, rich orchestra with, well, let me tell you what the orchestra is. I can tell you right now. It's got obviously strings, but then flutes, bassoons, horns, trumpets, timpani, lute, carillons. Oh, I love the carillons, that bell contraption he used in Saul to make, Saul crazy. And harpsichord and organ continuos. And he, of course, threw organ concertos into it. And it's got tons of wonderful, wonderful Handel, early, middle, and late. Really phenomenal stuff. But it was never recorded. And it was never recorded because nobody could get the score in proper shape. I mean, there is a conductor's score, so they know what was in it. But at the time that the Handel edition, the original Handel edition came out, that Chrysander was working on, he couldn't get his hands on it. And so naturally he did what all musicologists do with things they don't know. They trash it and they ignore it and move on. So he had the early version and the late version, but this middle version, he never bothered with. He just dismissed it as similar to the late version, but in Italian or something like that. So it wasn't until these folks, it's Joachim Carlos Martini with the Junge Kantorei and the Barockorchester Frankfurt got their hands on all of the material that Handel used, that they were able to actually assemble the complete work. And here it is on Naxos. There it is. There you go. There you go. And it's a premiere recording, and it's the only recording, and thank God, it's a splendid recording. Really first class. You've got soloists. I mean, the characters are all allegorical. Their beauty and pleasure and time and disillusion. Disingano, which is wonderful. You've got Clarin McFadden and Elizabeth Scholl, sopranos. Nicholas Hariades, the unfortunate countertenor. You always have to have one of those. And Pierre Abilgaard, alto. They're both countertenors. Okay, fine. But that's okay. I mean, they actually sound pretty good. They do. I don't have any problem with them in this particular work, although I would much rather have women, nice, beautiful, alto-type women. Anyway, the music is glorious. The story is non-existent. It's just about their various virtues. or characteristics and contesting, and beauty wins out at the end. And they do toss in an organ concerto just to liven things up a bit. And it's an extraordinary performance of an extraordinary work. Now Martini has been doing a lot of Handel for Naxos. He did a lot of these strange oratorios that were cobbled together after Handel died from like operas and other things, like Joas and some of these other things that were, I don't know, they were all kinds of odd things that were, somewhat similar to Handel oratorios based on Handel's music. So he recorded a bunch of those, and he did like Hercules and some other stuff, and some of it was good, and some of it was well, just lightweight, kind of, thin without necessarily the best singers. I mean, in works where there's serious competition, he doesn't always fare so well. But in this particular work, they all got their ducks in a row. They really did. I mean, it was proprietary, and it's a proud performance, a performance full of life and energy and color and character, and it's a splendid work. I don't know if it's come out in the critical edition yet, with the new Handel edition. It would be interesting to know, and what they do with it. You never know. They might just ruin it again. Who the hell knows what these people do when they get their hands on these sources. But this is a splendid performance, and if you love your Handel oratorios, and you collect them, and you want to hear like everything Handel wrote in that medium, then you have to have this, because it's the only show in town. And thank God it's a wonderful one. Possibly one of the greatest recordings ever, and certainly the only recording ever of this version of this oratorio. So go for it and keep on listening, friends. Thank you for joining me. Take care.